Yodhivasan Sasti Sapta Navam Mahim Prajapati Sutta Smaran Manu Bhikhyata Mangala Brahmavartam Yadhivasan Sasti Sapta Navam Mahim Prajapati Sutta Smaran Manu Bhikhyata Mangala Brahmavartam Yadhivasan Sasti Saptarnava Mahim. Synonyms. Prajapati Sutta, the son of Lord Brahma. Samrat, the emperor. Manu, Swayambhu Manu. Khyata, well known. Mangala, whose righteous acts. Brahmavartam, Brahmavarta. Ya, he who. Adhivasa, living in. Sasti, rules. Sapta, 7. Arnava, ocean. Mahim, the earth. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. The Emperor Swayambhu Manu, the son of Lord Brahma, who is well known for his righteous acts, has his seat in Brahmavarta and rules over the earth with his 7 oceans. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Sometimes it is stated that Brahmavarta is a part of Kurukshetra, or that Kurukshetra itself is situated in Brahmavarta, because the demigods are recommended to perform spiritual ritualistic performances in Kurukshetra. But in others' opinion, Brahmavarta is a place in Brahmaloka, where Swayambhu Manu ruled. There are many places on the surface of this earth which are also known in the higher planetary systems. We have places on this planet like Vrindavana, Dwaraka, and Mathura, but they are also eternally situated in Krishnaloka. There are many similar names on the surface of the earth, and it may be that in the Boer age, Swayambhu Manu ruled this planet, as stated here. The word Mangala is significant. Mangala means one who is elevated in every respect in the opulence of religious performances, ruling power, cleanliness, and all other good qualities. Bhikhyata means celebrated. Swayambhu Manu was celebrated for all good qualities and opulences. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namo Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayagrupagadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapadakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpataru Vyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivash Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nilachali Vasa Nityaya Paramatmane Valabhadra Subhadra Abhyang Jagannath. So thank you so much for joining this wonderful Sangha. So in this beautiful chapter, which is essentially a discussion between Manu and Kardama, and actually this chapter is a discussion between Maitreya Muni and Vidurji. So as you can see, when great personalities discuss, it is discussed by other great personalities, and those great personalities discussion are discussed by people like us, because they're so wonderful and so clean and so crystal clear. So in this chapter, there is a discussion between Swayambhu Manu and Kardama Muni. Swayambhu Manu, after some time, after this discussion is over, is going to be the father-in-law of Kardama Muni, because Swayambhu Manu and Mother Satrupa's daughter is going to be married to Kardama Muni. Swayambhu Manu and Kardama Muni's daughter Devahuti is going to be, Swayambhu Manu and Satrupa's daughter Devahuti is going to be married to Kardama Muni, and from then the progenitor Kapila Dev is going to come, and he is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you could see the connection, and these are powerful personalities. So in this verse, Prajapati Sutta Smara, Prajapati means Brahmaji. Brahmaji's Sutta, Brahmaji's son, is Swayambhu Manu, and he is Vikhyata Mangala. That means he is very well known, he is Vikhyata, he is famous, and Mangala, and he is always doing auspicious and righteous acts. And where he is um, leading the kingdom, and he is leading the kingdom from a place called Brahmavarta. And that Brahmavarta is surrounded by Sasti Saptanavara Mahim. And that means this place, Brahmavarta, is surrounded by 7 seas. So when you think about this, there are two things which really comes out, is the absoluteness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the context of the different places. As La Prabhupada is saying in the purport, that Brahmavarta is actually a place in Kurukshetra, in the Rajasthan, in the western area, that side, the northwestern part of India. But also Brahmavarta is the place where Brahmaji used to be situated, and Brahmaji is situated in Brahmavarta. So that's where Srila Prabhupada goes on to say that there are places in this planet like Vrindavan, Dwarka, and Mathura, which also have a place in the supreme abode. Like when you think about Bhuma Vrindavan, which happens to be a postal address of Uttar Pradesh, and which is actually around 150 to 180 kilometers from Delhi. So that's the Bhumya Vrindavan. But also the same place is replicated. Rather, Bhuma Vrindavan is replicated from the spiritual Vrindavan, which is often called Golok Vrindavan. So Golok Vrindavan and UP Vrindavan are no different in that sense. Likewise, Dwarka in Gujarat and Dwarka in the supreme abode is no different. Mathura, where Krishna was born, and the supremely located Mathura in the spiritual world are no different. That's why the abode of the Lord is called Puri. If you know, Puri is actually the abode of the Lord. Mathura Puri, Dwarka Puri, Jagannath Puri. So these are actually the abode of the Lord. The abode of the Lord in this material world and the abode of the Lord in spiritual world are no different. So we can think about this verse as the absoluteness of the Lord. So absoluteness of the Lord is often misunderstood. When you take -5, for example, and use the absolute function, maths absolute function, it gives you 5. Whatever, whether it is +5 or -5, it gives 5. So the absoluteness of the Lord should be understood in the sense that Lord is present in his own abode, and also Lord is present in our hearts. So when Lord is present in our hearts, the rules of the Lord is prevailing, and we should make every attempt to make the rules of the Lord prevail. So let's try to discuss a little bit by going deep into it. So when you think about Bhuma Vrindavan or Golok Vrindavan or Puri or Golaka Puri, Mathura or spiritual Mathura, they essentially are one and the same. The pastimes of the Lord are exhibited in the material world at various different places, in Vrindavan, in Mathura, in Jagannath Puri, in Dwarka. So where the dust of the place is touched with the lotus feet of the Lord, where Lord descended to perform the pastime, is very, very auspicious. So that's the reason why there is no difference between. So here Srila Prabhupada goes on to say, Brahmavarta is the place where Manu, who is the son, Swayambhu Manu, who is the son of Brahmaji, is ruling, and it's around 7 seas. So if you think in that context, the place in this material world where Brahmavrta is located, and it's surrounded by seven seas. As you know, the earth is surrounded by seven seas. It is nothing but a reflection of the spiritual world. So when you think about, uh, sometimes you'll have this NATO headquarters. The NATO headquarters in will be there in various different countries. So when these countries go to establish that those quarters, because I happened to travel through my India trip through Poland last time I went, and I found just outskirts of a city where the flight landed, there are NATO planes. And those NATO planes where the NATO is instituted and the NATO is placed, the rules of NATO prevail. The rules of the the country where it is being installed is not there. Like say, for example, the NATO is installed in XYZ country. The XYZ country's rule in that area, in that square kilometer or square mile, is not going to prevail. The rules of NATO will prevail. Or when you think about embassies, right? Whenever you have an embassy, the flag of that embassy of that country will be lifted, and the rules of that embassy in that 500 square feet or 1,000 square feet or whatever 5,000 square feet where the embassy is located, the country's rules where the embassy is located is going to be instituted, and it's going to prevail. They will have their own flag hoisting ceremony. So in a country, another country's flag hoisting is happening. So this supreme personality of Godhead is present in one and all of us. And he has some special places where he has done his pastimes, where he has played, where he has swum, where he has, partake bhoga from his devotees. So those places where the Lord exhibits his pastimes are absolute in that sense, that it's actually a reflection of the spiritual world. And more we indulge in going to those places, it recharges our battery in staying focused, staying focused on the absolute nature of the Lord, exactly like the example of embassy or the NATO deputation, wherever the country it is installed in. So the absoluteness of the Lord is explained here, and that is driven by the place Brahmavarta. But this Brahmavarta is the abode of the Lord in Brahmaloka, and also it's the abode of the Lord in this material planet. So having said that, the absoluteness of the Lord. So whenever we talk about the rules of the Lord, or as we mentioned, the rules of the embassy is prevailing in that place where in whichever place the deputation is. Likewise, the rules of the Lord prevail. So what are the rules of the Lord? So whenever we think about what is right, what is wrong, it is driven by our perception, our consciousness, our nature. And we are flawed, as you know, in every state of the way in terms of our ability to understand right or wrong, truth, lie, and because we're very motivated by the modes, and the modes are really controlling us. We are not controlling the modes. If we would be transcending the mode, we would be transcendental, but we are living in a material world, and we are very subjected to the modes of material nature. So that's the reason why when you steal, you are probably going to get a lot of beating. You'll get public beating, people will come. Likewise, but when Krishna steals butter, when Krishna steals Gopi's cloths, he is glorified, because the Lord's actions are leelas. The Lord's actions supremely outweighs our ability to understand. So what does Lord want? That's exactly the rule we should all be subjected to in our ways and means of delivering or dealing with our life. As long as it is prescribed, as long as it is recommended, as long as it is pleasing to the Lord, that is something what we all should aspire towards in our day-to-day life. So why we're talking about this? Because in this verse there is this situation where Swayambhu is referred as Bhikhyata, is referred by, because in this discussion between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Kardama Muni, it is referred that Swayambhu is Bhikhyata. That means he is famous. And he is famous because he provides, or rather, he is full of Mangala. That means whenever we go to Mangala Arati, right? Whenever we go to Mangala Arati, we believe that it brings auspiciousness in our day, in our ability to stay focused, stay conscious all throughout your day. That's the reason why everywhere there is uh, everywhere there is at 4:30 in the morning in ISKCON temples, we have Mangalarati. So when Srila Prabhupada had, something like 60 or 70 temples, he was asked, Srila Prabhupada, today we have 60, 70 temples all around the world, but everywhere the methodology, the rules, and our regulations provides that we have Mangalarti right from the beginning, because when a person with the right consciousness attends Mangalarti, his day is elevated, as Srila Prabhupada is writing here in yellow. I've kind of highlighted that by attending any auspicious activity, Mangala means one who is elevated in every respect in opulence of the religious performances. And that is where Swayambhu Mani's qualities of Mangala, in terms of his ability to stay clean, stay righteous in his activities, in his ability to foster a good relationship with his family, that is all discussed here. So Mangala in this context is anything to do with the Lord by which you end up starting your day. You're starting a big day of your life, and that is when, if you end up attending Mangalarati, but in this example, Srila Prabhupada was asked, Srila Prabhupada is not in all the 60, 70 temples. Srila Prabhupada is probably in one place, but by virtue of installing something, what the Lord wants, what the Lord desires in his devotee, or his confluence of devotees, is to instill that faith wherein we start the day by following the footstep of what Lord wants. So what Lord wants are the rules and regulations, and anytime we align with them by following those basic principles, it makes us a better person. And whenever you instill those good qualities, as Srila Prabhupada is writing, as the discussion between Kardama Muni and the Supreme Lord is happening, and when Kardama Muni is desiring to have, Kardama Muni is praying to the Lord to have a girl of like disposition, so that he could fulfill the desires of the Supreme Lord. And in that connection, he is about to meet the would-be father-in-law Swayambhu Manu in marriage to his daughter Devahuti. So whenever there is that element of auspiciousness, wherever there is an element of purity, then everything turns to good. And that is where it is mentioned, that it is also mentioned, whenever there is Mangala, when there is auspiciousness, Yasyati Bhaktir Bhagavati Akinchana, Sarve Gunai Tatra Samastesura. That means wherever there is exhibition of auspiciousness and any personality, whether it is demigod and their exalted qualities such as religiosity, knowledge, renunciation become manifest in the body, who has developed unalloyed devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that person becomes very auspicious and he becomes very, very successful. So, in this context, the way we should understand this is you may do a gig in a movie, you may do something in, write something, but at the end of the day, that fame is so short lived. But what the Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying, in order to be famous, we should all lead a life of what is prescribed in the scriptures by developing qualities. And when we develop good qualities, Lord feels happy. Lord is always in our heart, but Lord gets disturbed when we end up exhibiting unauthorized qualities. So in order to transcend us, to have good qualities, and all those good qualities Krishna mentioned in the beginning of 16th chapter, where he ended up saying about the divine and demoniac qualities, which we went in the evening sometime back, is when we develop these good qualities, whenever we develop these divine qualities, Krishna feels happy to stay in our hearts. Krishna is always good, always in our hearts, but he gets irritated when we indulge in wrong things, in things which are not authorized, where there is no compassion, when there is no austerity, when there is no truthfulness, when there is no cleanliness, which are nothing but the four regulative principles out of the 25 which Krishna mentions in chapter 16. The qualities which will lead us to a situation where there is auspiciousness, mangala, where there is absolute Lord's presence in our hearts. And it starts with abhaya, it starts with fearlessness. We should arouse that sense of fearlessness in our day-to-day life, in our abilities. Prabhupada is epitomized, he is Abhaya Charanaravinda Srila Prabhupada. He epitomized fearlessness. Otherwise, at the age of 69, when you call some personalities, they are often very sad or very resistive to come because this place is cold, this place is full of snow, and there will be 100 complaints. But Srila Prabhupada, during the month of August and September, when it was not a great time, he came through Jaladuta fearlessly, trading through months of activity, months of sailing in the plane. Nowadays, whenever we look for a trip to India, we look for non-stop flights. It takes 14 hours non-stop to go to India. Srila Prabhupada not only spent several days, but several weeks on Jaladuta. He was sheer fearless to spread the holy name. And the second quality Krishna mentions in chapter 16 is the purification of one's existence, how we can end up purifying ourselves in this material world, even if we are not in the right place. This is Dukhalaya Asaswatam, this is a place of misery, and Asaswatam, it's temporary. But how we can purify our own existence in this material world based on the scriptures, and how we can cultivate spiritual knowledge, how we can give charity. Now the tax time is coming. All our tax documents are going to be readied up. So the charity, how much we give in charity, it is one of the divine qualities. How to have self-control is one such quality, and our ability to perform sacrifices, our ability to study Vedas, the Vedic knowledge we are reading or hearing in the morning and evenings in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita in the morning and evening respectively. Austerity, how to be austere, how to be simple in our ability. Humility is such a thing which can't be faked. If you are not simple, it will come out very easily. How to be simple in our behavior, how to be non-violent to everybody, not in our food habits, but in our dealings with our family members. There is a lot of family violence happening in this world. These newspapers are filled with violent activities right in the homes, which is something which everybody has to avoid, how to stay truth in their day-to-day life, be truthfulness, and how to be free from anger, how to renunciate, how to stay tranquil, how to be not fault finding in our lives, how to have compassion for all living beings, and uh, how to be free from covetousness as in duality, as to stay away from duality, have a very simple thought process and not be complicated in our dealings, how to be a gentle, because Srila Prabhupada mentions all our devotees are perfect gentlemen, how we give our books, not force them to take our books, rather be gentle on them, and how to be modest, and how to have a full determination to chant all the rounds, because the more you call out in a pure manner, your day will prevail better, and how to have a vigor, how to forgive, how to fortitude, and how to be clean, because cleanliness is next to godliness, and how to free ourselves from envy and from the passion for our ability to seek fame. And these 25 qualities, it starts with Bhagavan Uvacha, we start with Lord Krishna explaining that these 25 qualities, if you start building, and actually if you think about chapter 16, the majority of the chapter is driven, the first three chapters, Krishna talks about divine qualities, and most of the rest is spent on demoniac qualities, because the human being, even if he is living in this material world, and even if Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyakshas are gone, but they have left the tinge of them in all human beings. And that's why Krishna spends plus 20 plus verses in this beautiful chapter on the demoniac qualities. So, and focusing on the good qualities in the first three verses, because these good qualities are seldom found. And which once we have these good qualities, as it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, this verse which we are showing, is once we have such good qualities, once we develop such good qualities, then we would transcend and everything will become auspicious in our lives, and we would lead a very auspicious life, and our life will be controlled by absolute truth, not driven by what you and me believe to be truth or correct. It will be driven by the Supreme Personality's orders, and we will all end up becoming, or rather developing and prospering in the spiritual realm, to eventually go back to where we came from, not to be in this temporary world forever. So with that, I'd like to end here. This verse focused on, as to summarize, this verse focused on the importance of absoluteness and auspiciousness. Hope we discuss some of the aspects of absoluteness and auspiciousness on this beautiful day. Any question, comments, we can take it later. Otherwise, for your attention, thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah. Thank you, HG Jagannath Prabhu. Very nicely explained about the principle of absoluteness is Krishna. Very nice. Thank you so much. So tomorrow is Ekadashi, fasting from grains and beans, and today also some part of it's taken as Ekadashi, some places. So we can prepare accordingly. We have Nagara Sankirtan on Saturday, 12 o'clock at Apana Bazaar. So please join. This is to glorify Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started the Sankirtan movement. So we should be all part of it. Also Sunday we have 4 to 6 Kirtan. This is for His Holiness Kadambakana Swami Maharaj, well-being, and whatever we can do, we join in the chanting of holy name for Maharaj. And then we have evening time, we have The Gaura Purnima festival, the day 1 and day 2 is on Monday, actual day. So request all of you please join and participate various services. So we all can do that somehow or little, whatever. Okay, so that's it. So this let's chant the holy name 3 times for Maharaj, Kadambakarna Maharaj, and from our heart, bottom of our heart. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Shri Narasimha, Jai Narasimha, Jai Jai Narasimha, Prahlad, Jai Padma Mukha Padma Bhanga, Ugram Veeryam Mahavishwam Jalandam Sarvatomukam, Narasimham Vishanam Bhadram Mrityum Namammyaham. Shri Narasimhadev Bhagavan ki Jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai. Let's pay our obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, saying Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Vaishnavvrunda ki Jai, Vandara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Nanda Kodi Vaishnavvrunda ki Jai, Guru Premanande.
Thank you, Hema Jagannath.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.